What if you woke up tomorrow and the very first breaking news alert on your phone made you literally stop dead in your tracks? A headline so absolutely unthinkable you'd probably just stare at the screen. I mean, imagine reading that Germany had abruptly blocked British shipping. Immediately, that quiet, invisible machinery that keeps our modern lives running starts to creak, stall, and then just outright panic. So in this explainer, we're breaking down a gripping geopolitical what-if scenario from our source material to really expose the sheer fragility of global logistics.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to put yourself in that exact moment of visceral shock. At first, you might not even fully grasp the scale of it, right? Because most of us think of shipping as something distant, cargo containers floating way out on the horizon. It sounds super technical. It feels totally disconnected from your morning coffee or your commute to work. But considering that over 80% of global trade volume moves by sea, what this scenario forces us to confront is a pretty terrifying reality. Shipping is not just moving boxes on water.
All right, part one, the logistical shockwave.
Notice how incredibly fast the panic cascades here. It happens practically at light speed. Step 1. Freight companies are furiously refreshing their tracking dashboards in total confusion as warnings just light up red. Step 2. Major ports instantly lock down into emergency alert protocols. Step 3. Maritime insurers absolutely hit the panic button, trying to calculate risk on a map that literally just changed completely. And Step 4. Right down to the consumer level, supermarkets are instantly receiving frantic warnings from their suppliers. I mean, this all happens before most people have even finished their breakfast.
The bloodstream is squeezed. To truly understand the impact here, you have to realize that maritime trade is the absolute bloodstream of the global economy. Just let that sink in for a second. When this quiet machinery stalls, the entire global body feels the pressure instantly. Our modern world is completely built on movement. Food moves, fuel moves, medicine moves, and the very second that flow is obstructed, the heart of the economy starts skipping beats.
Moving on to part two, the economic panic.
This brilliantly illustrates just how vulnerable a major economy truly is. Britain relies heavily on these imported lifelines. Because, let's be real, supermarkets don't magically restock themselves, right? Hospitals don't stay equipped on hope alone. A blockade threatens supply chains that, frankly, are pretty fragile even on their best, most peaceful days. We're talking about critical food, energy, medicine, and the vital parts needed just to keep factories running.
Now, we are talking about a reaction within hours here, not days, hours. Notice how the financial markets react across all these different sectors simultaneously. Traders absolutely despise uncertainty, and well, a blockade is the ultimate uncertainty. Oil and fuel prices jump immediately. Maritime insurance premiums just skyrocket. Port logistics face massive congestion as ships try to reroute in a total panic, and the stock markets instantly price in this enormous new risk. Every single added day of this disruption costs exponentially more than the last.
I love this quote from the source material because it captures it perfectly. The economy does not always break in a dramatic explosion. Sometimes it breaks in the slow panic of delayed deliveries, missed deadlines, and rising prices. It's a creeping, suffocating kind of terror. The economy shivers, then it slows down, and then it really starts to cough.
Which brings us to part 3, the everyday human cost.
Because this invisible system suddenly becomes the absolute foreground of everyone's life. Think about the human ripple effect here. It's a family in London watching their grocery budget just disintegrate in real time. It's a factory worker in Manchester who gets sent home because the imported parts never arrived. A nurse in a hospital staring at a backordered notice for vital life-saving supplies. A small shop owner looking at thinning shelves. And a truck driver stranded with nowhere to actually drop their cargo. That is the strange hidden power of shipping. It hides in the background right up until it abruptly dictates your survival.
And notice how the narrative completely shifts as reality sets in. On day one, the media coverage is all about geopolitical shock and political strategy, but by day 4, the conversation inevitably pivots. It becomes all about the agonizing human consequences. Who is paying for this? Who's losing their job? The abstract geopolitical theory just fades away, and the painful reality of everyday survival takes over completely. So the crucial point is exactly this. Inequality grows sharper because scarcity always lands hardest on people with the fewest resources to absorb it. The humanitarian edge of this crisis is severe. Vulnerable communities suffer first, simply because they just don't have the financial buffer to absorb surging prices or delayed medicines.
Let's zoom back out for part 4, geopolitics and leverage.
Shipping is power. The source material makes it incredibly clear that controlling the flow of goods provides massive, unyielding leverage.
But here is the catch, and it's a big one. Leverage is inherently dangerous. Creating pressure is definitely not the same thing as achieving a victory.
In this theoretical scenario, neither side is going to back down easily at all. Notice this textbook diplomatic deadlock. Britain would immediately demand the restoration of maritime access, calling out the blockade as completely unacceptable pressure. Germany, on the other hand, would justify its fictional blockade using language rooted in its own crucial political or security objectives. Now, without taking any sides here, we're just analyzing the source's diplomatic framework. It's totally fascinating to see how they modeled this clash of two major powers. Both are locked into positions where backing down carries massive, massive political costs.
And you know, the longer that deadlock lasts, the worse the compounding effects become. Just trace the timeline with me. Within hours, you have outright panic in the markets. Within days, actual physical shortages hit the consumer level. Let it drag into weeks, and public sentiment is completely reshaped by fierce, angry debate. And if this lasts for months, you are looking at altered politics and supply systems that are just permanently shifted.
I really want this to linger on the screen for a second. Time is not neutral. Time is cost. Time is fear. Time is damage. That brilliantly captures the suffocating tension of this standoff. In a modern economy built on just-in-time delivery, time literally becomes the ultimate weapon.
But pressure creates resistance. Britain wouldn't just sit there. They would immediately implement massive countermeasures. We're talking emergency sourcing of goods, utilizing alternate ports wherever humanly possible, radically rerouting global shipments, and heavily managing domestic stock. It forces an incredibly rapid adaptation just to survive the strangulation. Ironically, a blockade like this could actually force a nation to become significantly more resilient in the long run.
However, the theoretical aggressor pays a massive price as well. Germany's diplomatic burden here would be absolutely staggering. They would face severe economic retaliation, deep diplomatic isolation, instant legal challenges, and most importantly, the total evaporation of maritime trust. Because once that trust is broken in global trade, every other partner in the world looks at you and wonders, wait, are we next?
And that brings us to our final chapter, Part 5, The Illusion of Stability. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how simple but profoundly true this statement is. Comfort is built on logistics. We all tend to walk around thinking civilization is this solid, unbreakable thing. Just because the roads are paved, our online orders arrive the next day, and the supermarket shelves are full. But actually, scratch that, it isn't permanent stability at all. It's a delicate, tightly wound miracle of coordination and timing.
Stability is a system, not a miracle. Block-in shipping doesn't just delay a few cargo containers. It violently pulls back the curtain. It reveals just how frighteningly fragile and interconnected our modern civilization truly is. The quiet arteries that keep countries alive can be severed, and when they are, the effects bleed into every single kitchen, every factory, and every family budget.
Which leaves us with this final, unavoidable question. If the machinery of modern life suddenly stalled, how long could your community actually survive the disruption? Take a moment to really think about that. Well, if this deep dive explainer changed how you view the invisible forces running our world, make sure to like, drop a comment with your thoughts on how your local area would fare, and subscribe for more structured breakdowns. Until next time, keep questioning the systems we take for granted.